She put me on the short list. She put me on the short list. She put me on the short list. Short list. Welcome everybody. Good evening. My name is Rainer. This is Rainier Books. It's shortlist time for the Booker Prize. Today in the afternoon, the Booker Prize released the shortlist of the 2021 prize. And I will make a short comment about it. And the song that you heard, it was a song from 1979 from the British rock legend Roger Chapman, who had a band called Roger Chapman and the Shortlist. And this guy is from Leicester in England. Everybody called him not El Chapo, but they called him Chapo. He was long Chapo before El Chapo became El Chapo. But now to the shortlist. Welcome to this video. I have come down now. Everything's okay. I've come down. The shortlist for the Booker Prize of 2021 has arrived, ladies and gentlemen, on the same day that I made my prediction video for the long list of the National Book Award, which you find down below or up there. You should look at it. That's the next prize. The long list will be published on Friday this week, actually. The shortlist for the Booker Prize is here, and three of the books I have in my possession right now, two of them I own. The first book on the shortlist is a book that I have to say that I haven't read not even half of the books, but many of my fellow booktubers have, and I have watched their videos. I've read about the books, and I have my own opinion about the content of the books and everything. So I have a quite good opinion and a quite good overview about the books that are on the long list and that are in the shortlist now. So on the shortlist, for the first time, I guess ever, from Sri Lanka is Anuk Arudpragasam and his novel A Passage North, which I own. Many of you who have read and reviewed it have described it as a very plotless book that is sort of more like a reflection, like a focused book on the character of the main character called Krishna, who's traveling from south to north in Sri Lanka to a funeral and his inner thoughts. I have started the book, I haven't read on yet, and I really like the inner thoughts of Arudpragasam that he gives to his character here. It's a good book, but it's certainly a book that is not in everyone's taste, and that's also what Paula, I think, from Draw Your Book said recently, where she said she would recommend this to people who are loving these kind of self-reflective books, but not definitely for people who are interested in plots. The second one, I'm not surprised that I own two of the six books on the shortlist. The second one that I want to talk about is The Promise by Damon Galgut, which after all that, I haven't read this either, but which after all I have heard about it and that I have read about it, it should be one of the top favorites to win the Booker Prize of 2021. Maybe it's until now my favorite to win it. I would guess that Galgut can do it. Can make it, he's from South Africa. It's a novel from South Africa, The Promise, about a man, about a family who has made a promise to their black servant or housemaid, to give her a house after decades of service, but the family breaks the promise, and this is seen as a parable. No, this is seen as a book that is resembling the history of South Africa with the history of this family. Damon Galgut is a very good writer. I have read books by him before. The third book in my possession that is nominated on the shortlist is actually, as The Guardian has already said tonight, the only book by a genuine British author. This is Nadifa Mohamed and her novel The Fortune Man, a book that plays, I think, in Wales. It's about a murder in the 1950s where a Somali man becomes the suspect, and it sort of has a lot of racial undertone. I have heard about this book that some of my fellow booktubers have called this quite boring, that not so much happens. I still have to look inside it, but it's definitely on the shortlist. So congratulations to Nadifa Mohamed. Also on the shortlist, books that I don't have in my possession, that I don't have anymore in my possession, is, unfortunately, the library gave me only 2 weeks, folks, to read 640 pages of Great Circle. So many of you would say, 640 pages, 2 weeks, that's not a problem, right? It is a problem for me, at least, because September is always a month where we work a lot in my daily job and we get tired, and I am not able to read that much. So I gave up on Great Circle, but it's a great book. It's a great start. It's a novel about, it's an American novel that I also see on the long list of the National Book Award, which will be released on Friday by, it's one of 3 American authors, actually. Maggie Shipstead, who has written a great novel about 640 pages about Marion, a woman who was one of the female pioneers of being a pilot and trying to travel around the world. Very early in the 20th century, she disappeared in the Antarctica, and about an actress who is impersonating her in a movie that is made many decades later. That's a very fascinating story. I just didn't have the time to do it right now. The 4th book is a book that I really would like to erase from the list, from the shortlist. That is, no one is going to talk about this, by Patricia Lockwood. I didn't like this at all. This is not a novel. It's an essay kind of book with almost no plot and with overestimated prose, even in the first part. I didn't like it at all. But it's on the shortlist, so and it beat Kazuo Ishiguro's excellent novel Klara and the Sun, which I don't really understand. But this is not about the better book. It's never about the better book in many of the literary awards. This is about the progressive stack, and this is about what is up to date and what the juries want to sort of promote. So Klara and the Sun is on every day, on 10 days out of 10, a better book than No One Is Going to Talk About This by Patricia Lockwood. I'm sorry, but I say this because we live and we have freedom of speech. And it's your freedom of speech to say this is a fabulous book, of course. That's all about it. 3 American books are on the list: Maggie Shipstead, Patricia Lockwood, and the last one is a book that I had my reservations against it when I read the plot. I said I'm not interested, but now after I heard many of you talk about it, I think it must be a great novel. I'm very curious to lay my eyes on it one of these days. It's not in the library here in Stockholm yet. It's by Richard Powers. Bewilderment, which also could be, I think Bewilderment and The Promise are the favorites to win the Booker this year. Even Bewilderment is a story that could win here. It's about a father and son relationship. It's about the incoming problems that we have, not the incoming problems, the existing problems of the world, of the environment, and of a future maybe outside of this planet. The books that have not made it to the long list, I mentioned already Kazuo Ishiguro's excellent novel Klara and the Sun, which should be on the short list. It's not. Also, I know that my fellow booktubers, I own this book as well, is A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson is not on the shortlist, which is very much expected, right? But I think I still ask myself why. Because my fellow booktubers who have reviewed this book, everybody who has reviewed this book says it's an excellent book. It's a great book. It's great characters, great writing, great plotting. Everything is fine about this book. People who say that other books that they have sort of pointed to be on the shortlist or potential winners are much worse than A Town Called Solace. But still, A Town Called Solace doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, but I realized actually, my hunch is that A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson is the Ann Tyler book of 2021. Ann Tyler was last year on the long list. I read that book. It's some Redhead by the side of the road. It was an excellent novel. It was very entertaining. It was really Ann Tyler showing the world how to write a novel that is both entertaining and also shame-free. You don't have to be ashamed to read this kind of book. And that's the same probably with A Town Called Solace. Even Ann Tyler has blurbed Mary Lawson's book, and she said, I think you should read everything that this woman, Mary Lawson, has written. So she was not nominated for the shortlist, and other books of the Booker dozen, 7 books out, 6 books are still in. Which is going to win? What do you think? I think, as I said, the favorites are Bewilderment and The Promise. And I really hope, my dear friends at the Booker Prize in England, in the UK, if no one is going to talk about this, wins the Booker Prize, I think this will be the last time that I follow it, even from a distance. Maybe. I don't know. Thanks very much for watching this video. My first reaction, what is your reaction to the shortlist? Have you read them all? And I hope that I will be able to read a couple of them until the Booker Prize will be revealed in, I think, November. So, but this is National Book Award week. Tomorrow we're starting with National Book Award nominations in the United States. Poetry, nonfiction, young adults, and then finally on Friday we get the fiction list of the long list of the National Book Award of 2021. Thanks very much for joining me tonight at this late hour. I hope that you stay tuned to my channel, but most of all, please stay safe. The virus is not yet, has not yet lost the game. It's still in the game. And even if you're vaccinated, I just saw a television program with a couple of professors about this. Even if you're doubly vaccinated, you should not think that you can't get the virus, and yet you can't get sick, and yet you can't infect others. It's not true. So stay safe and bye-bye.